All right, so Discover Education. This is how we're going to re-energize it. All right. So the purpose of this slideshow is to show you ways in which I, as an ITF, will reintroduce it, keep track of it, and promote it continuously throughout the district. All right. So first things first. What is Discovery Ed? In its simplest form, it's a research, right? It's a research inquiry-based program with online um, resources, and it has interactive content and real-world learning experiences. So here's the website, and here's just a quick little overview. All right, you can search for anything that you would like based on a topic. You could search for um, different standards. You could search for subjects, and what you get is you get a bunch of little snippets. All right, there's channels, there's supports, there's stories, there's interactives. But this presentation is not going to be how to use it. It's going to be how to reintroduce it, right? And then we'll get into how to use it at another PD. So basically, how do you develop educator capacity? Well, in education, specifically technology education, we use the SAMR model, right? So we substitute, augment, modify, and redefine a particular activity based on these four principles. For instance, substitution. Usually, right, the old way of doing things was you had a textbook and then you had maybe a handout on a specific topic, right? So what we're going to do first is we're just going to substitute that with exploring digital resources, okay? We're just going to explore it by clicking in the search box, okay? Then the next step would be to augment it, all right? So they discover concepts, right? It's a direct tool to discover different topics via interactives. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you an example of how I would do this, all right? Then what we could do is we can modify that activity. All right. Discovery Ed has a studio, all right, in which you can add things to it. It's basically like a blank canvas. All right. You design it any way you would like. All right. You add digital content, you collaborate, you could share with other students. Okay. And at the end, what we have done is we redefined a particular task via a presentation. All right. And then you present that to the peers via what you put in your studio. You could do it with another peer and whatnot, right? So basically, we use the same model to redefine or reintroduce a particular topic. Now, how else would I show this, right? So we have talked about what specifically we do to develop educator capacity. Now, here are the methods in which we would reach them. Doing what we've always done: one-on-one appointments, professional development days, hop into common planning times, go to department meetings. And here's one that's specific to me: develop YouTube videos, right? I have a YouTube channel. I can put all this on there and also develop one pagers tutorials, okay? Here's an example of my YouTube channel, right? I have different topics and videos. What have I always done? All right. Now, how does this meet New York State computer science and digital fluency standards? Well, if you look at the standards for grades 9 through 12, we have impacts of computing, computational thinking, networks, cybersecurity, and digital literacy. All right. All these fit nicely into the specific tasks of Discovery Ed. Okay. And then also, how do we culturally responsibly sustain this via the framework by the New York State? All right. This right here is taken directly from Discovery Ed. Okay. And if you read it, it mirrors the four principles of responsible education that is outlined in the New York State standards. Okay. So they both have the same goals. Okay. Reaffirming the environment, high expectations, inclusive curriculum. All right, here without bias. All right. So all this is definitely intertwined. Okay. And so, how do we do this via a grade band? So let's take social studies 9 through 10, right? Global history. It's a 2-year course, right, that goes through the earliest civilizations through 1700. Okay. So now we have our topic, our class, global history. How do we use Discovery Ed to explore this? Well, Substitute, right? So in the Discovery Ed website, right, the first SAMR model is to explore via substituting, right? So we would just search in earlier civilizations, okay? Augment, how do we augment it, right? So I talked about adding digital interactives. Here's an example of a digital interactive, right? After you search for early civilizations, you click on interactives, and then you can see right here, right? This is an interactive where you can click on certain topics within this, okay, and explore them. And now this is an example of modification, right? So this is what the studio looks like. Basically, you could do a lot of things to this, right? You could add color to it. You could add different topics, different interactives, all the stuff you want to present here, as well as share it with your peers. And then finally, to redefine it, all right, you could use the same thing for your finished presentation. All right, so that's basically how we would reintroduce this. And again, all right, how would I keep on top of this? Well, I would develop usage by keeping check-ins, okay, feedback forms, YouTube videos, model lesson even, all right. Last thing I want to talk about is improving student performance, right? So this is a 21st century activity, and basically 21st century skills, right? Project-based learning, they're interactive, they're online, they're multilingual, without walls, okay? And so basically Discovery Ed does all those things, right? Incorporates real-world examples, active engagement motivates, tracks progress, and is problem solving in its nature. All right. Any other questions? Please contact me.